By the end of 1991, System 3 published Fuzzball, this gorgeous-looking and highly addictive puzzle platformer that came from Scan Games Norway and almost had also a C64 version. A 2-level preview was even bundled in Commodore format, but this port ended up being cancelled in the last minute due to inside conflicts. Fuzzball is also the only title developed by Scan Games Norway that had a commercial release. Despite all that, Fuzzball is for me highly addictive with beautiful graphics, music and extremely challenging gameplay. Even today when I play Fuzzball, I'm completely absorbed by it, and it's really hard to let go, cause I just want to clear one more screen again and again. And there's 50 of these, with an obvious increased level of difficulty and decorated with different styles. It can also be really frustrating, cause if we touch an enemy, we're instantly dead. There's no energy bar, so we must plan our every move really carefully, and to complicate things even more, some screens have ice over the floors. And besides all that, a clock counts down, and when the time runs out, flying insects enter the screen with the mission of hunting the player down, just like Arnie in the Terminator. These were the days when games were really challenging and finishing every single screen or level is a complete victory. This is probably my favorite action puzzle game ever. Rock'n'Roll, developed and published by Rainbow Arts in 1989, and with an awesome soundtrack by my all-time favorite composer, Chris Hulsbeck. This is a huge game in where we control a ball with a mouse and try to reach the end of each level, avoiding ventilators, magnets, arrows and other objects that simply drains the player's energy. It's not an easy task, but it's a highly enjoyable one. The ball physics are spot on, and we have a good control over it and can easily anticipate annoying situations. It was one of my early reviews for my channel, so if you want to know more, feel free to click on the annotation in the top right of the screen. This Callisto platform and puzzle game was so damn enjoyable and addictive that when I moved to IBM PCs, I just had to grab also the DOS version. And sorry to say, but the DOS port is the one to have. By that time I started to get really bored by the annoying disk swapping that Amiga users without a hard drive had to stand. Even so, playing the Amiga version with the Maverick 1 is phenomenal. There's also the Amiga CD32 option, if you happen to have one of those, that offers a couple more audio tracks and faster loading times. We control 4 colored furry creatures, each with their own special abilities, across 8 main locations like the desert, forest, mountain, etc., each with 10 levels plus bonus levels. Besides the amazing gameplay, it also offers awesome music, graphics and even references to other video games and movies. Everyone should try it, if you're in the mood for some relaxing puzzle platforming, obviously. Now comes my favorite Shadow of the Beast game, the third one. Released in 1992, it introduced unseen water and objects physics, clever puzzles, highly inspired by text adventures and exceptional platform action. Reflections went all in with this third chapter, after a quite disappointing second entry in the series. After regaining his human shape, we must help Arbron, the main character from all 3 games, to defeat Maletoth once and for all, so that he can return to his final human form that he so arduously pursues since the very first Shadow of the Beast, in where he was transformed into a beast to serve the almighty evil lord. A Mega Drive Genesis version was considered and developed to a certain point, but ended up cancelled, probably due to the mixed reviews that Beast 3 received, mainly due to the high difficulty levels of its puzzles, the copy protection that prevented the use of a hard drive, and the absence of a save feature. Here's another highly addictive game from this renowned publisher, Psygnosis. This introductory text was present in the demo of Globdule that was offered on one of the 3 cover discs bundled with issue 33 of Amiga Power magazine, published back in January of 1994. Have you guys noticed it back then? By the time the full version was released, that error was corrected. I wonder if anyone got fired because of this. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is that Globdule is such an awesome game and almost made it to my personal top 10. It was developed by X-Animo Designs, that was in fact their only commercial Amiga game ever released, in where we just have to collect all the items within a time limit to be allowed to advance to the next level. That's it! But as a Globdule, we're stuck to surfaces, and to grab all the scattered items, we simply have to jump. Be advised that in some levels, keys must also be collected that will obviously unlock certain doors. Also, and after the first initial levels, enemies will arrive just to make it more interesting, and to kill them, simply jump in their direction. And I have to say that Globdule is one perfect example of what Amiga gaming was all about back in early 90s. Pure fun! A truly enjoyable and relaxing action platformer with lovely, vibrant and colorful graphics accompanied by a perfectly suitable soundtrack. Team 17 were the masters of exclusive games for the Amiga. Their goal was to get the most out of that amazing platform, even forcing users to have a full megabyte in their machines to be able to run their games. All-Terrain Racing even led to a change of letters between the developer and Future Publishing because of the review published on issue 48 of Amiga Power. The reviewer, Jonathan Nash, gave it only 38%, and that made Team 17 to join the list of companies who no longer sent review copies of their upcoming titles to that particular magazine. So, in what consists All-Terrain Racing? It's a top-down racer like many others from that era, with a futuristic styling thrown in, mainly in what car design is concerned. What differs ATR from the rest is the addition of shortcuts that would offer an element of strategy, cause in this game we're invited to drift around corners and slam into the other opponents. I had so much fun with ATR back in the day, and even nowadays it's a blast to play. Remember Soccer Kid? Arabian Nights came right after, and from the same developer, Chrysalis Software, who also published it. It's another fast and fluid platformer, really fun to play and with a pretty cool soundtrack to keep you motivated to overcome those more difficult areas. In this one we play as Sinbad Jr., who is a gardener at the royal palace and loves to sneak a peek at the princess from time to time, you naughty boy! But one day, he sees a demonic creature kidnapping the princess, so when he was about to save her, he ended up caught by the palace guards and thrown in the dungeon. We must help Sinbad Jr. to fight his way out of the dungeon and through various other different and well-crafted environments, which include flying on the magic carpet and even racing in a minecart Indiana Jones style. It was released in 1993, initially on 2 floppy disks and later on CD for the Amiga CD32. The animation is as smooth as the best platformers seen on consoles by that time, and the controls are sharp and accurate, also making good use of the second fire button. Highly addictive and a must-play to everyone. Now, here's one of my favorite games on the system, Wolfchild. I consider it an hidden gem, even being developed and published by Core Design, that came from the creative mind of Simon Phipps, that also offered us the unforgiving Rick Dangerous. This one was also available for a bunch of Sega consoles and even the Super Nintendo, but all received really poor reviews, what somewhat made players believe that it wasn't worth it. Well, if you think that, you need to try the Amiga version. It's truly amazing in all respects, and played with the Maverick is like a walk in the park. I've already reviewed it, feel free to check another of my early videos. Scrolling shooters were really popular by the end of the 80s, and the genre just begs to be played with an arcade-style controller like the Maverick one. Z-Out or Z-Out, the sequel to X-Out, is an obvious R-Type clone, but still an impressive technical achievement that made me pull all my hair out because of its extreme difficulty level. Even so, the music and graphics compensate all the frustration, and again, the Maverick one is perfect for this type of games. Thalion Software was formed by members of the amazing Atari ST demo scene back in the 80s, and from them emerged names that nowadays are huge in the video game industry. This studio was responsible for some of the most audiovisual masterpieces ever seen on an Atari ST and the Amiga. They would push these machines to its limits and beyond. From Thalion's amazing portfolio came in 1993 Lionheart, this visually outstanding piece of programming that features differently generated environments depending on the difficulty setting chosen by the player in the beginning of the game. It's a basic hack-and-slash platform game with a super parallax scrolling effect, in where we take control of a warrior from the land of the cat people that had its origins on another Thalion exclusive Amiga game, the second title from the Amber series by the name Amber Moon.